Hey guys, and welcome to the first year friendship bracelet tutorial for playing for others. So this is the first year friendship bracelet, which is all just the plain orange color. I'd suggest if you're new to doing these to do one of these types of bracelets first, because mistakes made during these are the easiest to be hidden. So to begin, first off, generally you cut off 5 strings. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know if you can see that. But the way I cut them, generally I just do an entire arm's length. I can sort of fit everything on here. Ooh. But it's about like a little over a foot for sure. But I just generally do a full arm's length and cut off where it meets my chest from where my arm goes. And then the first thing you'll want to do is tie a knot at the top. For these, I generally leave about that much space just because you want them to have enough room to be able to tie the knot once the bracelet is on your wrist. So I'll go ahead and do that. Alright, there we go. So you just have a knot there. Next, I'm going to get a piece of tape to be able to keep it down so that when I'm tying the friendship bracelet, it's not going to move anywhere. You can also use like a clipboard or like some sort of clip and fasten it to a book or something. Generally, I prefer that. I just don't have any clips right now. But taping it down can generally be good. You might just have to reapply the tape every once in a while because tugging on it after a while makes the tape fall away. So next, what you want to do is separate the strings. This is very important to do throughout the entire process, is to always keep your strings separated so that you know which string you're about to tie, which will make more sense later. So, when making a friendship bracelet, the most important thing to do is remember a 4. So, we always start from this side and go over to this side. Starting with this string, this will be your 1 string, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, you take this first string and make a 4. Generally, I prefer to make the 4 underneath it, and I think that's just the easiest way to do, because when you do that you can hold this with your finger right here and then also hold on to this string and just pull that out, so you make a 4. So this string is underneath that one. Right? So next you want to take this end of the 4 and put it over like that. Now you've sort of got like a weird A, I guess. So some of it's underneath and it goes from underneath to over. Then you want to take from underneath the second string, you want to take the A part of the A and pull it. So now you're back at your 4 sort of. Next you want to let go of this first string like that and take it with this hand and pull it all the way up. Generally, I just pull it straight like that. I feel like that just makes the best looking bracelets. You're going to want to do this one more time. So remember that this is the first string. I just pulled it up, and yeah, it's over here, but it is still the first string right now. So it's in this hand. I want to take it underneath that string and make the 4. I'll do that one more time so you can see. So I bring it underneath. I hold onto it with my finger and make a 4. And so then I put it over again. I've got this weird A. I take from underneath the second string. I take that and pull it up. So now we're going to move this string over to the side because we just made a knot on it twice. And we're going to keep holding on to this first string because remember, this is the one that we tied twice over this string. This first string is going to then tie onto these next 3 strings and become the last string, and then this one will become the first string. So we're going to do it again. Ready? So take it, make your 4, Make sure it's underneath, like that. Put it over. Take from underneath this next string, take the weird A part, let go of it with that finger while I'm still holding on to it down here, and pull it up. Alright. So remember, this is still the first string. This is the third or second, depending on, I guess, what just makes it easiest for you. So holding onto this string, take this string underneath. I use my finger to pull it over. At this time, maybe it might be easiest to just make the 4 for you, like that, and like keep it always on the ground, or on the whatever you're using. So you've got your 4 here. You take it, pull it over. I'd hold this string up so you can get underneath it and grab this. And then while holding onto this, you pull it up. So now I've just tied onto this one twice, so I put it over here again. Make sure to keep them still separated so that you know which order they're in. And this string that I'm holding on to still is the first string that we're going to then go on to the next string and make the 4 again. So we make the 4, it's underneath it, right? You put it over, pull from underneath, and pull up. And do this one more time, like that. Put it over, pull it through, and go up. Alright, and always remember when you're tying, whichever one that you pull up like this is the one you want to take to go on to the next string. And that string that goes up like this is the string that's going to be making the 4 and going underneath this next string. So, put it over, pull from underneath, let go, and pull up. And then do this one more time. Pull up. Alright, I'm going to get a little farther in doing this so you can sort of see how it looks before I go through again and show you how to do it one more time. Hey guys, so as you can see, I've made a little bit of progress here. I didn't want to go too far because I wanted to show you that as you move along and progress with making these bracelets, it becomes very prominent which string comes next. Like, I think you can see here that it's sort of just sitting there on its own, making them separated into 5 different areas. So if you ever do get it tangled up, sometimes the best thing to do is to just take this, pull it down like that, and you can see very clearly which string comes first. So for me, it'd be like this. I also do want to say, I won't be showing this in this tutorial, but as you get down near the very end of the bracelet, it gets sometimes very hard to make the 4s. You're going to have to make them very small and tiny, probably about that big, to be able to do it. Just during that, be very careful, because it can be very difficult to see what you're doing, and you have a lot of fingers for a small little area there. But yeah, so I'm going to go through this one more time. As you can see, I just made a knot there, sort of trying to show how small it can get, I guess. So, as I've said before, well, that time I just made that knot. This is the first string, so I'm going to take it and make that 4. I'm going to pull it over, take from underneath, and pull it right back up, like that. And then we're going to move on. I'm going to go a little faster with this one so you can see that, like, the better you get with it, the faster you can go. The more practice you have too, the less time that making these bracelets will take. When I first made them, I'd say it took me around like 20 minutes to half an hour to make one, and now I can do it in like 5 to 10 minutes. So don't worry, just keep practicing at it and you'll get better. So I just made a row. I realized before that I didn't say, once you pull this one straight, make sure it's at the end because it's the last one. I just wanted to make a note of that. So I'll go through it one more time so you can see me do it. And don't worry too if you do make mistakes. I make them very often when making these. Sometimes you can go through and unknot it to the mistake that you made, but that's not always the case, and it's usually just best to continue on. If you do get into a situation where you have messed up and you are sort of at a point of no return, depending on how messed up it is, and if you think it's like still good enough to continue making the bracelet, just choose which strings you want to be in your 5 positions, whatever you think is best. Like, just make sure that it's like spread out like this in some sort of fashion, and just start from over here and continue on. That's just the best way to do it. Instead of trying to figure out what's wrong and fix it, it's just best to try to start over a little bit in the middle of making your bracelet. Also, when making bracelets, sometimes they can get very twisty up here in the section that you've already made. Don't worry if that happens. It's just about like the way that you're tightening the strings and how you're moving them. You can try to play around with how you're holding onto the strings and stuff to see which way is best for you. I've obviously found my specific way that I like the best, which is holding it up like that. A lot of other people have different ways. You can ask around at it to anyone who has made friendship bracelets before, and they can show you other ways. I know some people like keeping the 4 over it, here like that, and then pulling from underneath like this. That sometimes does seem to be the fastest way. I've sort of just been trained the other way, and so I've gotten really used to that. But if you do that way, make sure that you are always going over instead of underneath for crossing over for the 4. You don't want to do half and half either way because it will mess up your bracelet. So once you get to the end of the bracelet, I won't finish this one. I generally would say just try to measure it around your wrist as you're going and make one about the size of your wrists, probably a little bigger sometimes too, because everyone has different wrist sizes, and you just want to make different sizes so that people can have one that fits their wrist. Always leave a lot of space to tie at the end. Generally, when I get down near the end of the strings, they're sort of a little lopsided. They're not always like straight on with each other, so I usually go by the shortest string that I have, which in this case would be that one, which has gotten really short for some reason, if you can see that. I go by the shortest string and just make about 2 inches, sort of like we did on the top, and leave that for the end, and then you're just going to tie it off there as well. I'll tie it up here so you can see what it looks like. So when you've got your knot, try to push it up as close to, oh, well, I messed up there. Give me a second. You can mess around with it too, it's not that difficult. There we go. Try to pull it up all the way to where you just stopped making the actual like braided part of the bracelet, and pull it tight. And so then you'll have about 2 inches of string left there so that people can tie it around their wrist. So this is the end of the friendship bracelet first year tutorial. Obviously I didn't make a bracelet that's long enough to fit onto the hand of a person, but I believe in you and using your own judgment to figure out how long it should be. I'd say probably about to there, if you can figure out how long that is just by looking at it through this video. I'd generally do about that long, if not a little longer. You can use your own judgment, I trust you. But the next video is going to be 2nd and 3rd year bracelets. They're basically the same as the orange bracelets. The only thing is they introduce new colors, and the 3rd year bracelets use 6 strings instead of 5. So I'll see you then. Bye!